Chapter 13 takes us from the type of cell division that promises consistent and uniform results and takes us to the type of cell division that makes novelty in each generation. So let's begin this new chapter in the usual way with our learning objectives. I could probably have squeezed them all into one slide, but why be stingy with slides? Here are the last few. When I was a child, one of my favorite programs to watch on television was Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. If you've never seen him, he was a remarkable man, always calm, a bottomless font of patience, and curious and creative as well. He was always delighted to see you at the beginning of the show and sorry to leave you at the end of the show. So why am I telling you about this piece of my childhood? Because every show, he would look into the camera and tell his millions of young viewers something. You are special. There is no one in the world quite like you, and he was absolutely correct. While just about everyone you know has the same complement of fingers, toes, eyes, nostrils, ears, etc., every human being you have met or will ever meet is a unique individual in every cell of their body. There really is no one exactly like you. This is both a blessing and a curse, however. If you need an organ transplant, such as a kidney, for example, finding one that is compatible with your own unique personal biochemistry may have you waiting for years until someone who is close enough to you who is ready to part with one of their own. And even so, immunosuppressive drugs are required. We humans recognize other humans as humans, and we recognize species as groups of individuals that are capable of reproducing with each other, though we'll get more into that in Unit 4. In this unit, we will lay some groundwork for Unit 4 by addressing the continuity of life and the variability that accompanies it. Heredity is the passing of traits from one generation to another, and variation is the collection of traits that make each of us unique. You might look like your parents and siblings, or not, but you are probably not identical physically to any of them. Genetics is the science of how traits are passed down and why every individual is unique. Genetics is based around genes, which are abstractly the units of heredity and are concretely made up of segments of DNA. We receive our genes from our parents in gametes, those specialized non-somatic cells that I mentioned in the last chapter. Recall that gametes, eggs and sperm, have only half as many chromosomes as our somatic cells. Genes, being portions of molecules of DNA, have physical locations within the chromosomes called loci, or just one singular locus. The vast majority of the genome, or the total DNA of a cell, is packaged up in chromosomes found in the nucleus. Our animal cells have just a tiny bit of extranuclear DNA, or DNA that's found outside the nucleus. Do you remember where it is? It's found in the mitochondria. Remember that we have a little bit of DNA in some ribosomes in the mitochondria, a clue about the endosymbiotic origins of the powerhouse of the cell. And, for an additional fun tidbit, in animals, mitochondria are inherited from the mother. The sperm does not contribute its mitochondria to the fertilized egg. Thus, all the mitochondria in your body were given to you by your mother. Many organisms survive and reproduce quite well without sexual reproduction. They still must reproduce, but they do it without sex, meaning they can reproduce without the fusion of gametes from two parents. This, as we'll see, is the normal case for all prokaryotic cells, though don't worry about their genetic diversity. They are able to maintain it without sexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction can also occur in eukaryotes, though it isn't the normal case, at least not for animals. Other eukaryotes are capable of reproducing asexually by simply separating pieces or structures off of a parent organism. These pieces can grow into new organisms that are genetically identical to the parent, and we call them clones. This is a hydra, which is actually an animal, though the green color might make you think it's a plant. Hydras are closely related to jellyfish, corals, and sea anemones, and are named after the mythological Hydra that was slain by Hercules as one of his famous 12 tasks. In the Hercules myth, the Hydra he slew was a large beast, much more than a millimeter in size, like this guy over here. And so the story went, whenever one of the Hydra's many heads were cut off, two would grow back in its place. Spoiler alert, Hercules defeated the Hydra by cauterizing the neck stumps with fire so the heads couldn't grow back. As for the tiny jellyfish relative, this Hydra, it is capable of reproducing asexually by producing buds, smaller versions of the parent Hydra that can be sloughed off to go live elsewhere independently. These buds are clones, genetically identical to the parent. Many plants are capable of asexual reproduction. Among the plants that have this power are redwood trees, such as in this picture. They may remind you of General Sherman, the giant sequoia, and, like the giant sequoias, coast redwoods are among the largest trees on Earth. In fact, redwoods hold the title of the world's tallest trees, while sequoias are the world's largest trees. Once again, here's a guy for scale. And in the foreground, you can see what appears to be a baby tree. Actually, this is a shoot off of the base of this redwood tree, which is, keeping with our theme, a clone. So, if clones can be genetically identical parts of a larger whole, what is the largest organism in the world? I'm going to let Minute Earth handle this question, because it depends on how you measure. But spoiler, it's not the blue whale.